Today I'm with another top agent, big business lady I should call her. I have Anna Oliver here with me. She's one of the real estate agents that I respect a lot in the GTA.
I've been in real estate, I'm going into my 23rd year, and within a month I was fully licensed.
Okay.
And I tell you, I still remember that script. It's burnt into my brain. Hi, don't wait for answer. My name is Anna Oliver. I'm calling from, at the time, the Brokerage, Exit Realty Metro. The reason why I'm calling is the real estate market's really hot right now, so when do you plan on selling? And it was,
How many sales did you get from that?
you'd be surprised, I got a listing my first day. So
Your first day?
I was going through some challenges in my personal life. I was going through a bad breakup, wasn't performing. They pulled me aside, and it was at a Starbucks in front of all these people, and they said I was no longer welcome on the team. The thing too is, like, I think any good agent, we love helping people. And that first year I did 110 deals.
Wow.
So I still had that passion in it, but you have to put in the time. And I find a lot of agents don't invest in themselves. They don't give themselves a chance because they don't put even a minimum of an hour or two just to know what's out there. Yeah. And I had 2 videos that week that went viral on TikTok earlier in the week. I came back and a friend of mine texted me from Europe and he said, do yourself a favor and don't read the comments.
Welcome to another episode of the Seventh Voice Podcast. My name is Azeez. I'm your host, and I've always promised you I'm going to be bringing amazing guests to this podcast, people that can bring knowledge and things to kind of help you, either with your business or your personal life. Today I'm with another top agent, and I don't even know if I should call her I should call her a big business lady I should call her. I have Anna Oliver here with me. She's one of the real estate agents that I respect a lot in the GTA. I've learned a lot from her from afar. We've met maybe one time, but today is when we're going to be having a deeper conversation on how she was able to reach where she is right now in the business. And I hope Anna will be able to give you a lot of things that you learn from as well. Anna, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know when I tell people this, like, hey, I have a big guest, tell them a little bit about the guest. I always say the best person to introduce themselves is the guest.
Okay.
So I want you to tell my audience, who is Anna?
So you're putting me on the spot.
I am putting you on the spot because and I know you're comfortable, you can do it.
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Anna Oliver. I am with Real Broker. That's been about just over a year now.
Yes.
I've been in real estate. I'm going into my 23rd year.
Wow.
And it's
Over
blown
2
by
decades.
over 2 decades. So I have seen everything from higher interest rates, lower interest rates, financial recessions, any changes, local government, federal governments, everything.
Moving provinces, I believe.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. I actually started my career in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And what's interesting about that is I'm not from Halifax originally.
Wow.
So I went to visit 2 of my sisters who were living there at the time. They're both military. And I decided that I'd give real estate a go.
Okay.
And what's interesting about Nova Scotia, it's only a 3-week course to be fully licensed.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I wish we can have that here.
Yes, yes.
It's going to take like 8 or 9 months for you to get the license.
Yeah. It was, if you think about it, it's a little scary. So it was a 3-week commitment. And within a month, I was fully licensed.
Okay.
And that's how I got started.
That was 23 years ago.
That was 23 years. It was in September 2003.
Wow.
And I decided to go to a kind of up and coming brokerage at the time. And at the time, different owners of brokerages would come into our sales or into our classroom, and they would kind of do a pitch to recruit new agents. And I really liked what these 2 guys were doing. They were younger, they were more tech savvy. And I remember one of them saying that he made over $100,000 his first year in real estate. And
2003.
In 2003. And he had a slick suit on, a nice car, just like typical real estate agent. I said, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And I said, I want to go work with them. And as we all know, with the real estate licensing course, it doesn't teach us much on sales or anything. And everybody was so impressed that I got hired so quickly. I said, well, it doesn't really work that way. Like, I pay the brokerage to work for them.
Imagine,
not the other way
like you're
around.
actually really recruited. You're actually the one that recruited them.
And, I went in and it was a new office, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. And it was a new office. It was all sleek and shiny. And it was three gentlemen who opened the office. So they had brand new new desks, and the offices were set up, and there's a few of us. So it was an area called the Bullpen.
Okay.
And this is old school sales training and old school.
That you're going to be thrown on the place to just sit down and make those calls.
Well, I remember there not being chairs.
So you understand?
And I thought it was because it was a new office. And I thought also, new office, the chairs haven't arrived yet. So they brought me into the office and they gave me, it wasn't a welcome basket. It wasn't anything. It was two stacks of paper and a headset. And they pulled me over to a desk and they gave me a mirror to glue up on the cubicle. The headset, they plugged into a phone and 2 lists. One was a phone list of names and addresses, and the other was the script. And here you go.
Interesting.
Yes. And the mirror was to look at yourself and smile and be more energetic. And I tell you, I still remember that script. It's burnt into my brain and I could say it. Do you want to hear it?
Of course.
It was, so you call people and it was, "Hi, don't wait for answer. My name is Anna Oliver. I'm calling from," at the time, the brokerage, Exit Realty Metro. The reason why I'm calling is the real estate market's really hot right now. So when do you plan on selling? And it was...
How many sales did you get from that?
You'd be surprised. I got a listing my first day. So
your first day?
Yeah, after my 24th call. So the first few calls were horrible.
Actually, what am I saying? Sorry, I don't mean to call, because now that you said I got a listing from my first day, I look back at my journey at the beginning. My story was a little bit similar, but not exact, because now I joined about 4 years ago, there's tech. But I remember the brokerage I joined first, it was my friend that owned it, and he doesn't really kind of hold my hand, "I'm going to help you." He just threw me into the back office and said, "Yeah, that's where you're going to sit down." I mean, I kind of like it. I have a desk. Yeah. But his brother...
Did you get a chair? Because I didn't get a chair.
I got a chair by myself.
Okay.
They put it there. There's no chair there. But I went at the back. They have some used chair. They just pick one, put it there. Now I look back at it. I actually got a listing presentation the first week.
Perfect.
But I didn't get the listing.
Okay.
But I got the listing Oh my God. I remember very well, clearly now. The guy, the brother came to me the second day because I was worried about, "Are you sure this is the call?" He said,
horrible.
Just call with that script. I'm not the kind of person that likes script.
No, I don't either.
But I forced myself to just read the script. And I remember very well, a woman, the wife, picked up the call and said, "You can come, my husband. We are looking at maybe we're going to downsize." And they actually told me to come.
Perfect.
And I went there. They liked me, I would say. The first week, they said they want to sell in 2 months. They invited me back to come like in a month. So I wanted to go with my mentor. Yeah. But the wife canceled the meeting. And 6-7 months after, even though I followed up, they sold with another agent. Obviously, I think maybe I didn't do a better job. But the fact that I make calls.
Absolutely.
And within my first week, it was my first week, not the first day like you. Yeah. But you got a listing.
I got a listing. So when I hung up the phone, I went into the sales room and the managers were there. They're like, "Don't be too discouraged and don't." And it's funny, even talking about that first day in cold calling, I do not like cold calling. You'd think I would be the person who loves it the most. I do not like it.
I don't love
My heart's still pounding just thinking about that day. Like, it really brings anxiety. But with that type of ratio, you would think me of all agents would love cold calling the most because of the success.
Because you make one says that you did not. You still don't like it.
I still don't like it. I don't like the thought of interrupting people in their day. And the thing that's always been an issue for me is I don't like being in situations where somebody asked me a question I wouldn't be able to answer.
Okay.
And that's what I didn't like about it, because if I had an opportunity to talk about real estate, well, what do I know? I'm brand new.
And that's true. That also affected me. I'm like, they asked me some question. I was selling pre-construction at that time as well. They were going to ask me
something.
Something that I don't know at that time. And I'll be like, I'll get that for you.
And you kind of lost them if you can't answer on the spot. So
I lost like many people for that.
The next day I went to the listing appointment and they were a lovely couple. And I remember he's like, "You look pretty young. How long have you been in the business for?" I said, "Under a year." And then we went from that, and that's kind of how it started. So I
like that answer. Yes. Under a year.
Under a year, not lying.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was a real answer, and they gave me a shot. I still have a copy of the flyer, and then it just kind of went from there. So I was with that brokerage so I've been at several brokerages, as we know, and that one was good for me at that time. But the challenge that I had, it was the men who were my mentors what resonated and what sounded good coming out of their mouths didn't sound right coming from a woman. And I really needed the guidance and mentorship of a woman to help me, because the tonality and everything I was using
At least
just
the tonality should align with yours,
yeah, and it just
with your values.
I really valued, and then I just felt like it just wasn't the right fit. So I was very lucky. A top producer, not just in Nova Scotia or in Canada, in North America. She was selling about 350 homes a year
Wow.
and was looking for a junior agent. So she took me under her wing. And this is why I'm so opinionated and so vocal about the importance of mentorship at the beginning, because I would not be where I am if it wasn't for her taking me under her wing.
And I'm glad, probably maybe one day she's going to hear these,
She hears it a lot. I give her a lot of thanks and a lot of praise, because I was able to learn probably about 10 years worth of real estate knowledge and confidence and from her just by listening to her. She worked me very hard. I didn't have much of a life, but I looked at it. If I made that commitment early on in my career, it would pay off in the long run. And
it is paying.
it did. And that first year I did 110 deals.
Wow.
And this is before DocuSign. This was before smartphones.
110 deals.
Yeah, 110 deals.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so when I moved to Toronto, I'm like, well, what do you do with all your time? Because I was so used, and I was running my own ads. I had my own, I didn't have an assistant. In Nova Scotia, we used to book our own appointments. We'd call the other agent directly. And so it was just a different.
At that time as well.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to that 20 years. When you were practicing real estate in Nova Scotia, did you visit Toronto at any point of the time before you moved?
I did.
While you were still an agent there?
Yes.
What do you see as a difference at that time? Because I would have asked you what's the difference between the real estate market now in GTA and 20 years ago. But at that time, you're actually not really living here. How long did you stay in Nova Scotia before you moved there as an agent?
I was there for 5 years.
5 years. So within that 5 years, did you come to Toronto anytime?
A little bit.
Do you see anything about our real estate here before or that time?
So I decided in 2007 that I was looking at Toronto as an opportunity. So I actually grew up in Ontario. I grew up in Kingston. I wanted to be closer to my parents, but I had never spent any investment of time real estate wise in Toronto. So I came in the fall of 2007. I looked at different brokerages, and I decided that, you know what, I could do it in Halifax without knowing anyone.
I can do it here.
I can do it in Toronto. And I always say, like, people are people and everyone needs a home.
Yes.
And houses are houses. I said, all the other stuff about Toronto I can figure out because I had a successful run there. I said, well, what do I have to lose?
Tell me your first. So I'm going to make the question
it was
two
tough. Yeah, it wasn't easy.
The first 5 years in Nova Scotia, is there any of those years that you're like, oh my God, it's really tough? To your first year, you did 110. For someone hearing that, they see it as success. Yeah. I have my last guest that was sitting at where you're sitting now. He said a lot of people don't know how much failure that comes into success.
Absolutely.
People will hear this and hear 110 homes in 1 year. They will be like, they will calculate it for you like, oh, she make like $200,000 or $300,000.
Well, at the time, the average sale price there was about $150,000. And so no. And I was on a lower split because I was like an apprentice in a lot of ways.
You're new.
And there was a lot of failure, but there was also a lot of success. And I think some of the best agents I've ever had the privilege of working with came from slower, tougher markets. And you learn how to negotiate, and you learn through those tough times.
That is it.
And the relationship. So the average market time in Halifax was, sometimes 3 to 6 months. I had some listings where it was a joke where my clients were pregnant, and by the time the home sold, their kid was like walking. So you really learn to foster relationships in slower markets.
Yes.
And I think that's what made me a better agent. And
you've seen it all.
I saw it all. And then the deals there weren't. So when I moved here, what I found interesting, I'd see all these signs like sold above asking, and the pricing strategy in Nova Scotia was different. We'd price high and negotiate down. So when I moved here, I'm like, well, if they listed at $499, why do they want $650,000? This is back in 2008. Not that you can get that now. And I didn't understand the strategy. So my first listing in Toronto, I remember we used to present offers in person.
Wow.
And 3 or 4 agents came in, and they were presenting their offers. And in Nova Scotia, the offers were subject to review of heating bills, review of inspection, finance. So we had all these clauses. And this offer, I thought there was missing a page.
You're looking for.
I was looking for all the conditions, and there were no conditions. And the deposit structure in Nova Scotia was different. It was $2,000-$3,000, and here people were giving $45,000, no conditions. I said, "Well, this is going to be easy. Like this is going to be."
How long did it take you to do your first deal in Toronto?
It took me a little bit longer. It took 6 months for my license to get transferred, so they didn't tell me that when I applied. So I sent over all of my documents, and by October of 2008, they said I could write a challenge exam.
To even get the license.
And then I wasn't licensed for 6 months. But what I did is I found a brokerage, I found a team, and they let me kind of shadow with them because the moment I was licensed, I wanted to be able to hit the ground running.
That was good for you, though.
Yeah, and then what I would do in the meantime, because I didn't know Toronto, I had a dog, and I would walk different neighborhoods, and I would play games. I'd see a for sale sign. I'd go to their open house. I would see what they listed for. I'd try to guess what they sold for. So I used all of that time, and I still do it now. Like anytime I have a listing coming out, I go to all of the listings around it, and I see what the strategy is, what's working, and then I become friends with those agents to see like what's happening. So it's something
I
I've
used the
always
same
done.
strategy last year on one of my listings. I didn't become friends with agents because obviously we don't even meet those agents anymore. I was
But you
I have a
do.
listing.
My paths cross with my paths cross with the same agents all the time. It's quite interesting.
Wow.
And the relationships we have with those other agents is a benefit to our client.
But the reason why I said that is even if I said I want to meet those agents, some of them would be like, no, brother, just go look at the property, bring your offer. But the reason why I was booking those showing and calling them was I have a listing coming up.
Yeah.
And I realized it was taking 30, 60 days for them to sell in Scarborough. And I was like, I don't want my listing to take 60 days.
No.
So I decided I'm going to go to all those listings. So I think there was about 27 listings.
Oh my God.
And I went to like 13. I saw, I tried to book the one that looked so great and the one that I know doesn't look great. And that was where I able to kind of figure it out and I'm able to come up with a price.
Did you sell yours?
I think we sold in 18 days.
Perfect.
In 18 days.
Yeah.
And my client, it was after we sold that he kind of appreciated my work. I've done a buying deal with them in that last year as well. So it's not that he doesn't respect my knowledge, but it was like, are you sure we're going to be? And then when he started saying offer, I was like, can we increase the price? I'm like, we are the one that sold the highest in this place. And there's a reason because I went to those listings.
Absolutely.
I saw that they have some mistakes. The one that actually looked great, I look at what they did and I actually bring that to my listing as well. And honestly,
It
we're able
pays
to sell.
off.
It does.
And that's
It
where
does.
I think realtors get lazy and they don't do that type of work because the photos don't explain the story behind the listing. And when you get to know the other listings, you can compare the strategy that worked and you can speak intelligently. So if somebody does challenge you on your price,
You'll be like, oh, that listen. I'm like, okay, go there. It doesn't have this. That's what I did.
Yeah.
It doesn't have this.
It pays
This
off.
have it.
It really, really pays off. So it's something that I still do. So I did that before my license came in Toronto and I used that time. So it took a little while, but I started with a lease listing.
Okay.
And the big thing too that helped me is I found a team
Okay.
that needed extra help. So I left my ego at the door, joined a team as a junior agent, and I did their running around. And then I was able to get my first listing. It was on Salmon Avenue in East York. And that was the one with multiple offers.
Wow.
And then it was
From there, you started.
but there was a lot of heartbreak and there was a lot of issues. Like I got dumped by my team for underperforming. I was going through some challenges in my personal life. I was going through a bad breakup, wasn't performing, and they dumped me. We had a sales meeting on a Tuesday, and I was going through a bit of a rough patch, but still trying to show up.
Yeah.
And they pulled me aside, and it was at a Starbucks in front of all these people, and they said I was no longer welcome on the team. Yeah.
Really?
And I thank them for it because every day I've proved them wrong. So, but it was very humbling. So it wasn't an easy start and it wasn't an instant success.
In Toronto, right?
In Toronto. And then I left Remax because the fees were very high and I was broke because my income dropped 90%. I didn't have a steady source of income. I was looking for part-time jobs to make ends meet. I worked on demolition crews because nobody would hire me. It was the recession. And I worked at the front desk at a Royal LePage in the Beaches because I wanted to stay in the game. And it was hard. It was very humbling, very, very humbling. There was a lot of tears. I almost went back to Halifax. And I had a long conversation with my dad. He's like, no, you made a decision to be in Toronto. You don't go back as a loser. You go back as a winner. You're going to stick it out and you're going to make it work.
You have a great dad.
I have a great dad. He's tough. And it was very humbling. I remember, starting all over. And I was at an age where it was difficult to meet friends because most people are married.
Yes.
And I don't have children. So I would meet a lot of my friends at the dog park. And I would I was basically on campaign. So I joined this thing. I don't know if they still have it in Toronto. It was the Toronto Sports and Social League. Wow. So I would go and join like soccer and volleyball and just to meet people, because the name of the game and the success and the longevity is meeting people. So I had to find places that I could, one, stand out. So I didn't go to a lot of broker networking events, and I'd go to things where I was the only realtor. So I made that my full-time job to go meet people. And it was tough. It was very, very tough.
You mentioned a few things now that when I look back, when people see business owners, agents on the screen, they just think everything is just so, like they think our life is so glamorous or anything.
Yes, it wasn't. And it's still not glamour. Yeah. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I have a beautiful life now.
I know.
But I didn't have the stability. I didn't have a partner. It was always on me. And I had to make some tough decisions. And, this whole fake it till you make it. And
you use it.
I always had a nice car, but I would starve that week to make sure I had my car clean and put gas in the car, to show up at the listing appointment with confidence, and my nails were always done, my hair was always done, but I was broke. And, it was tough, very, very tough. So I really appreciate the clients that I had then who gave me a chance.
Give you the opportunity, right?
And a lot of them are still in my life now. I've helped a lot of nice families from that time multiple times now. Wow. And they took a chance on me.
Wow.
And it was tough. Like like I said, there were a lot of tears, and I had to make some tough
sacrifice.
Yeah, in my family sacrifice, I was the friend that had to cancel plans because the offers would come in, or I had to go show a place. Like I was broke,
and you never know which of the opportunity that comes to your doorstep that you have to really hold tight. You said something now, because I've listened to Matt. I'm going to talk about him as well. I listened to one of his podcasts, the one he did with Jazz Tucker. Jazz is my main mentor. Is whatever I've achieved up till now in real estate, I'm going to give Jazz like 70% of it. Yeah. I learned a lot from him, both being in his team and learning from his podcast. But to come back to what I was saying, I heard Matt talking about when he went to Wendy's to buy burger, and the credit card didn't work. And I remember that day, I was driving to Kitchener that day. I was really driving to Kitchener that day for a showing. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I do that long drive. I was going to Kitchener
because you go wherever it is.
Because I don't know where the sale will come, right? And a week or 2 weeks before I listened to the podcast, exactly what he said.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember where I parked when I listened to that. Exactly what he said happened to me. I was in Tim Hortons, and I got a coffee and croissant, and my credit card was saying no money. Yeah. I have to call one of my friends to transfer money into my account. And I left that day. I mean, I didn't go back and tell my wife. She's here now. She can hear that. I couldn't look at myself. I sometimes I cry like, God, I can't even.
Sometimes it sucks.
Pay that, right? Yeah. And I want to pay for gas, and I still want to buy coffee, and I'm going to be like, I need the coffee to stay awake, but I need to buy $20 gas more to read there. It just come back to the same statement my last guest said. Like, a lot of failure, challenges that come into success. And that's why when I see people there that they've reached a certain height that I want to reach, I know at the back of my mind how much cry, sacrifice, late nights, not being able to show up for your kids' games, or not being able to even spend time with your husband or your wife or your partner or friends. It's a lot can actually affect you mentally. No matter how much you think you really love money, these are people that really love you, and you're not there for them. Yeah. So hearing this from you, I just feel like, okay, I think it's a process for me. I think I'm on the right path. Every successful people that I have on my podcast or I've listened to, they've gone through this path.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Like at least the ones I've respected. But then the thing too is like I think any good agent, we love helping people. And it wasn't all bad. Like I was getting a lot of like some of my clients, like I miss them when we sold their home or they find their dream. I'm like, well, I'm gonna miss you. Like, what am I
Yeah,
gonna do with my
that's them.
weekends? Yeah. And like you needed me. Like you don't need me anymore. And I miss them. And I would say about 99% of the clients that I've worked with in the last 22 years, like I like all of them.
That's great.
Like there's one or two that I'm like, we don't need to keep
know,
in
it's-
touch, but realistically, like I love it, and when they remember me or they call me back, like I love it. So it wasn't all bad or tears or because there was a lot of joy, even though
Of course. There's a lot of win. I mean,
a lot was.
the same week when I went to Kitchener,
Yeah.
of course, I got the deal for my client. We closed. Actually, I'm going to be seeing them tomorrow. They don't know I'm coming, actually. I want to go surprise them. This is a client that, they really trust me.
Yeah.
And I was on the way to show them that property. They love that property.
Did they know the story?
The story behind it, they don't. They don't.
Like, and I think a lot
They
of
know
people
the amount of work I put in,
Yeah.
but they don't know that Azeez was showing up with all the data of what we are seeing, coming up with the data, smiling, joking, but it was really hurting. Like, they don't know that part, but they know they know I work hard. I've heard that from them. Like, Azeez, I see your video. You put a lot of work,
Yep.
which is really amazing to hear from them. You said something, because for me, at the beginning, that brokerage I told you before I moved to this current brokerage was I couldn't get any sale. And that was really tough. Like, oh my goodness, what's happening?
And
I did a
sometimes
sale.
it's not a lack for effort either. Sometimes it's luck.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's luck.
It is
Like,
luck. It is luck. I did, my first deal was a pre-con, which up to today I've not been paid. It's going to be closing in the next few months, even though it's going to 4 years now, because they're going to close before they pay me anything. But it was really tough until that guy came in and told me, the owner's brother, Azeez, why don't you start doing rental?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you that question, because rental was what really took me out of that toughness for the first 6-7 months. I was able to do a lot of rentals, like getting like 6 deals a month, that's 6,000. So I was able to kind of like, okay, I can actually live a little bit now. I can pay for gas. But I want to ask you, did you do that rental, getting clients from anywhere, open houses? You still do open houses, I know that, because I met you from your open house. Do you do rental at the beginning? How was that to your business? If you did it.
I did. And I still do it. So
I still do rental.
I still do rentals because it's interesting, because I just wrote an article on this. It'll be coming out this week.
Wow.
And it is the importance of doing rentals. So one of my biggest listings and deals came out of a rental, and it was the relationship. And
That's like me.
yeah. And the thing is, like, again, what I find interesting is all of the complexities. It's actually more difficult to rent a home in Toronto than it is to buy.
Yes.
And we need somebody with expertise, and we need somebody. So this client in particular, his previous agent didn't want to do leases. Well, I took it. I will gladly take your business. And it was an opportunity for me to showcase my talents,
the
my
knowledge.
expertise, my knowledge. And I treated it like a listing. I had professional photography. So I had it posted, everything. So people thought it was a listing for sale. And the importance of it was an opportunity. And it led to more. It wasn't overnight, but it led to more and more referrals. It's led to more. And I believe that one of the keys to success is being able to do leases. And right now I have one that's on for $1,800, and I have one like all the way up to $10,000.
The one I came to you, it was $20,000.
$20,000. But the thing is, like, when we look at what our role is as realtors for our clients, is we need to be there not just for the quick, easy overnight sales or the listings or the glory. We're there, like, oftentimes they bought with us and they're relying on our expertise. So we should be the ones protecting their investments. And if you're looking at your career longevity, like to be around as long as I've been,
you have to have those kind of
they'll
people.
call someone else,
right?
and you just lost them.
You lost them.
And if it's, a few $100s here or a few thousand, it's the benefit of the client. And I think it's integral. And I still, like, right now I have 5 leases on the market. Well, guess what? It's the phone's ringing. And because I look at it as always an opportunity, 1, to take care of the client that trusted me to buy them.
Yes.
And 2, it's an opportunity to meet new people. And even I got a listing out of a tenant that lease. So you have to look at everything, but you have to go at authentically.
Yes,
Yes,
authenticity
you
is
want to
very
know.
important.
And realtors get painted with this brush. It's all about the money. Well, yeah, there are some that are all about the money, but then you have like the ones like us who want to protect their clients.
Yes.
And I don't want them to think of anyone else. I don't care if it's a $1,800 lease right now. I want them to call me, and
To
if
do
I
that.
to do it, and I owe it to them. And I think if we look at our clients that way, and more of the advisory and more the strategists, and we have their best interest, these are
You're
investments.
gonna win in the long run.
You're going to win in the long run. It's a lot of work, and I don't discount it. And then I have a few young agents that work with me, so it's an opportunity for them to grow their business.
Exactly. And honestly, you mentioned that you made like one of the biggest transactions you've done was from a rental, deal. The the highest amount of money I've made from one single client was from a rental.
Yeah.
I helped them to rent, I helped them to buy, I helped them to help the dad to sell.
And it just builds and builds.
Just one rental. And surprisingly, that client was not even originally my client. It was his girlfriend that wanted to rent. She was living in Edmonton, and she told him to go and look at the property. So he's not the one renting.
It's
And when
about
I
meeting
went there,
people and
when I
impressing
met
them.
him 2 times on our showing, it was our conversation that he was like, Azeez, you said something when we were coming. Are you sure that's right? I said, yeah. It was like, my agent. I said, your agent. What do you mean? You bought a house? Then that's when we started talking. He owned a house that is sold because his agent said, quickly sell now. Sell now. You're going to make quick money. Then I told him what he would have done. And he was surprised. He was like, honestly, he didn't tell me that. And I was just thinking, this guy's just fluffing. Maybe he's lying. But after our 2-3 showings, I realized he was actually serious.
Yep.
He called me 7 months after. Azeez, I'm ready now. I want to buy a house.
Amazing.
We bought a house.
Yep.
When we closed, he said, you're going to help my dad to sell his house. So when you look at that, I tell people, take rental. I still know agent that they will tell me, no, I don't do rental. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't do rental?
Yeah, and I wish them well.
Why?
What else, what are they doing? Like, are they that busy that they're not dedicating into it?
Who is that busy?
No, and or you refer to a young agent. So I like mentoring younger agents or newer agents. And some of them at first, they're like, no, I don't want rentals. I said, okay. Well, guess what? You're not going to get the buy leads that
You're
I'm
not
going to
gonna
give you
get-
either. If you're not willing to put this time in. I said, I don't think I'm too good for them. And so it's a mindset that I think is important for the longevity, but it's for the benefit of the client.
Of the client.
And because of all the complexities with rentals,
It's complex. Everyone
it's
knows
complex. And with the laws changing, and I've seen people lose a lot of money. This is it's serious.
that. It is.
And if you leave it to somebody
That does not really have good intention of
Yeah.
helping you.
then it's a disservice, and that's why. So to answer, that's a very long answer to your
No,
question. but
you've really made those points that I hope agents will, because I always want this podcast not to go to only client, people learn to invest. Fellow agent, listen, even though a lot of agents have ego. And let me
course.
ask you this.
yes,
When you're probably going to be the 6th or 8th agent that I brought to the podcast. This episode 24, by the way. So when I bring agent to the podcast, I have one of my agent that we used to work together. We don't anymore. She's still here, but we are kind of give each other distance now because of some of the things that I'm going to mention now. That she thinks, why am I bringing agent to my podcast? Because I'm advertising their business. And I'm like, why do you think they're my competitor?
no, it's
Because I'm not going to get your client. You're not
and
going to
you
get
might.
my client.
Yeah, and you
If you get a
Yeah.
client that was supposed to work with me and work with you, then I didn't do my job properly. It's not your fault.
Yep.
So do you get that from agent that they will think they see you as a competitor? They want to kind of go, instead of collaborating, they want to go this way. And you and I on this podcast now. I'm sure if I see a listing that my client is interested in, at least I think I have a chance of getting that house for my client if I give you a call and say, hey, how can we work together on this?
absolutely.
Of course, you're still entitled to work well with your client, but the conversation we're going to have, it might make that transaction go smoother.
Well, the thing too is when you've been around for a while, and I mentioned it earlier, is there's 75,000 realtors in Toronto. I seem to see
77 now.
77,000. Wow. So it's funny how often my paths cross with certain agents, and there's sometimes that the relationship that we have with the other agent, it benefits our client. And I've always come from the mindset you can't have too many friends in real estate because you never know when your paths are going to cross.
Yes.
And the big thing too is, sometimes I'll get a listing in a neighborhood that a friend of mine, and then sometimes I'll get it or she'll get it or he'll get it. But you have to look at it, it's the client's choice. And, it's easy not to say don't take it personally, and we do. But I think if we look at it, sometimes the listing that we lose or the client that we lose, it's almost a blessing in a way, because if they didn't like you at the beginning, they didn't choose
Then you
you,
didn't trust you.
they didn't trust you.
Just let it go. I've
And you
actually let
yeah.
listen go. Like the dad was really so not trusting me, and I don't feel comfortable anymore. So
No.
I have to tell the son that knows me, like, I think I'm gonna have to cancel the listing. And they sold less than what I suggested. And the son was really sad because it was like, you did everything right. But I'm glad that I was the one that pulled the plug and say, you know what?
Yeah.
I think let me let it go, because I won't be able to perform well if you don't trust me. It's gonna be like I'm begging you. Right?
Exactly, and you don't want to be in that position. And I understand, like, it's sometimes easier said than done.
It's tough,
It's
but it's
tough,
good.
but we have to listen to that. And I don't like. So I've always been big on collaboration. Like, some of my closest friends are realtors with competitor brokerages, and you learn from one another. We understand, and sometimes it's good to have friends. We get it. The just venting or having a friendly ear to listen to us. So. And I respect other people, like, for their business. So if I see, someone from your office with a great success, like, I'm happy for them. And I wish more realtors took on that collaboration. And I'm very
I
big
hope I
on,
hope they do,
yeah.
because if you
And
don't, you're not gonna win.
you're not going to
Long
win.
time.
And I do believe there's enough to go around. And I think the importance is not to take it personally.
Yeah,
And, sometimes it sucks. Like,
it is.
sometimes,
It does.
the ones that you worked so hard for, sometimes it's luck. You had the listing when the market shifted, the sellers weren't ready, and then the next agent comes in and gets it
And
sold. And
sorry. And they look like
exactly. But I think we need enough respect between other realtors to understand, like, sometimes we're lucky and sometimes the planets align in a certain way. But I think I wish more agents were more collaborative.
collaborate.
Yeah.
I told him you were worried about 77,000 agents in the GTA or Ontario, but there are 6.6 million people in the GTA. So there's a lot to go around.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question that I don't know if you'll be open to say this. Have you ever thought of quitting before?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely.
And how did you get out of not quitting?
Why or when?
But why did you want to quit? Because I know why sometimes I want to quit.
Yeah.
What happened that make you feel like I want to quit? And how did you get out of that thought of, I'm not going to quit?
So it was in 2009. It was after I got dumped by that team in Remax. And I thought, because it was a tough year for me, it was a very, very tough year. I was used to being so busy. I had such a great start to my career. This is not my first year. This was like my 7th year, and my sales went down, and it was hard.
90%.
90%. And I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel at the time, because it was a constant. I was going through a bad breakup. I had no furniture. I had to buy things, like, off of community, Facebook groups and everything. And I felt like a loser. I had a very, very hard time. And I just remembered, again, my dad saying, like, you did it once, you'll do it again. And I looked at leaving residential real estate, and I actually did a stint in commercial real estate, because I thought
Maybe it's better there.
it'd be better. They were offering me a salary, but my heart wasn't in. I was still doing evenings and weekends on the weekends. So my passion was that. So in 2008, I looked at seriously giving it up. And it was pretty humbling, because I actually interviewed at a few different offices. Nobody wanted to hire a residential real estate agent.
Wow.
I was too old for the internship, the entry level, but I was inexperienced in different ways. So it was basically a campaign of no's and rejection.
Wow.
And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I was turned down for minimum wage call center jobs. I was turned down for, like, yeah. And I was showing up in my nice car, because that was, like, the only
was
thing.
what you have to show up to still say, okay, I'm here, but you couldn't get the yes.
I couldn't get a yes. And
what kept you on, like, to stay on and not quitting?
I had no choice.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've heard that many times. When you have no choice of, I'm not going.
I'm not going down this way. I said, I'm not going back, and I'll figure it out. And something has to, and then I get a little bit of success. Like, somebody was a little bit nicer, and then I could see it building.
That's small wins.
A small win.
Kind of build up.
And I stayed busy. And then that was the big thing. So I remember getting a listing appointment when I was on a demolition crew. So I showed up in my work clothes at work, and then I got changed into my suit and left. And they're like they didn't even recognize me. And then it kind of built from that. And then all of those relationships that I built and worked on, they were starting to come through.
Together.
But it took about a year or so, and then I found teams that I could be invaluable to.
Wow. Let's talk about Matt.
Yes,
We
yes.
can't do this podcast without Matt. Shout out to Matt. I want to have him on my podcast, by the way.
Yes.
Now that she's going to see you on my podcast, it should be like a catalyst to say, okay, let me go check that guy out.
I think you should too.
I will invite him. Tell me, how did you meet Matt? How did the partnership come together? Because there is no, when I knew Matt, when I started looking at his content,
Yeah.
there's not, almost 80% of his content, you are involved, you're there. And I was like, are they married? I was like, is that Matt's wife? Then I realized when I started watching those content, no, it's more of a business partnership.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, there is none of his content that I've watched that doesn't have, you see, when you watch the video, you know it's not just you pick up the camera and record.
No, he puts
There is
so much
something
time.
there.
Yeah, he has
Before-
magic. He has a
Before we
magic
go
in-
into those
yeah.
magic, because maybe you're going to spill some of the magic for me today to use.
You'll
Before
rub
we
my
go
arm
into
and
that-
like hope it rubs off kind of thing.
Before we go into those magic, how did you actually meet Matt? How did the partnership get started?
It's a good story. So he and I were both at the agency,
Okay.
and I didn't know who he
Which was your previous brokerage with him before?
Yeah, we were both at the agency at the time, and I'm what you consider a lone wolf. Like I've always worked from home. I'm busy. I stay in my own lane, so to speak. And I knew that he had he was like the celebrity agent in our office, and everyone said, Matt Leonetti. I said I'd never met him,
Okay.
and we met once at a broker event,
Okay.
and he seemed nice and everything, but I was just kind of busy, so. He just seemed like the young kid at the office who was this big social media influencer. I'm like, oh, if that works for him, that's great. And he was the funny guy. And I had a listing at the time. And, in my career, like there's been peaks and valleys. Like there's some times where it sucks and sometimes the days are long and why am I doing this? And he DM'd me because nobody calls anymore.
Okay.
And he said, can I pick your brain? And I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. And he called, and he lost out on some listings because they didn't think he had enough experience in the luxury business, and that he was a bit too young. And although Matt's a great agent, and he had done some luxury homes or some higher price point, he didn't have the portfolio or the credibility.
Yeah, or the brand
Or
to show that
brand.
he can do that.
And they saw him as a creative. So he asked me, and I remember it was almost, we're going on to 2 years now. He called and he said, would I be able to do a video on some of your listings? I'll do all the creative. I'll do everything. I just ask that you put my name as the second agent. And can we try that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
He's like, what? Really? And I said, yeah, absolutely. He's like, you don't need to think about it. I'm like, no.
Why do you need to think about it? I like when someone collaborates with me.
Yeah,
It's,
and it
it's
was
like something that I like.
Yeah, and it was just like, well, if he can bring a certain element that I can't, then it's win-win. And, if you don't take chances and if you're not bold, you don't know what you're missing out.
Exactly.
And I asked him, I said, okay, I don't need to be in the videos. I said, but it has to resonate with what my clients want. And I said, if it makes sense for me to be in it because or my name associated with it, but if it doesn't, that's okay too. And let's see how it goes. And he always jokes because he wasn't expecting me to say yes, because again, that protectiveness and possessiveness that a lot of agents had.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, what do we have to lose? And we've had nothing but great success. We work very well together. And the big thing is we wanted to approach our businesses because I've been around, I'm like the old lady agent and,
Yep.
but, and he's the young social media. So he has his own brand and his own business. And we didn't want it to be forgotten for both of our careers.
Yeah.
So I have some listings that I'm predominant on, and when it makes sense, we collaborate. And he actually just did a collaboration with another agent from another brokerage. So we have a lot of latitude that way. He's like a little brother to me. Like there's so much respect, and he's one of the best people that I've ever had the privilege of meeting.
Wow.
His talent and his ability to create.
He's so creative.
He is so creative. He's so funny. And he really puts his heart and soul. He's meticulous
Yes.
at those videos. And that is what I wanted like I want to be associated with the best, and to me he was the best, and it's been a lot of fun, and there's been a lot of accolades, like some of the awards that we've gotten, the recognition.
Yeah, I saw
But
some of them on your social media.
but it's the clients that are happy, and and we're very excited for the next ones. But again, you'll see, like, I have a strong brand of my own because our market are very different and our client base are very different,
Okay.
and his is very different too. So we didn't want to blend it. We didn't want to be forgotten, but together we've kind of
You kind of blend it and make it work so that you don't you don't abandon each of your identity.
Exactly. And I think that's where the downfall of some of these partnerships that you see. And he and I have kind of a loose agreement, where, like sometimes he'll put my name on the listing, or I'll put his name on the listing, because it's greater
Little
exposure.
reach as well.
Yeah. And it's not like I don't get paid on all of his listings. Like, it's really on a home by home basis. And I think that's the model that worked really well. And, we have our own strengths and everything. But no, we talk on the phone almost every day, and it's developed, like, it's people are always surprised that we've combined forces, but it's been nothing but amazing.
That's one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And we learn a lot from each other too. And again, what I was saying earlier, you can't have too many friends, and having that sounding board. And he brings, we joke, like, he brings the creative cool factor, and
Yep.
I bring the muscle, and I'm the one moving the
And
furniture.
needed.
And
Both of you are needed on that collaboration, right?
absolutely. And
Which is
especially
really
with the changing market too. And, we're able to bring in something a bit creative and different for our clients. And we like the unique homes that need maybe a little bit more of like a magic, or a little bit more of an exposure than it would.
I know you've talked about your collaboration with Matt. As I told you, when I watch any of his content regarding any of the listing that you guys work on together, either use your listing or use his listing, there's something unique about the video.
Yes.
I'm a content creator. I create content. This is content that we're creating as well in terms of podcasting. I create short videos. Of course, I have some script. I write it down. But when I see talent, like when I see creativity, I can know that this is unique.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why I want to get Matt to this room as well. I want him to be on this podcast. But tell me, how much work does he go into? Like, does he put in any of those videos, listing videos that you do? Like, tell me how the process started. Like, you get a listing now.
Yes.
How did you come up with the video, or how did you bring the idea of the video on?
If we look at the home that everyone calls Benny, if you look at that home,
Yeah, is it the one that was riding bicycle to go?
no, that was Edenvale. That was their first one together. So Bennington Heights is the one.
I know the
so,
Bennington because the name sounds ring bell.
So he actually came with me to the listing appointment. So the listing appointment was in early September, and he started working on that story in September, and that took months.
Wow.
So we had our videographer, like he had a story. I said, okay, give me the broad strokes and give me kind of the vision. And he said, I want to do it in a certain way. So we had our videographer go at certain times of the year to show, because you'll see, like, there was a fall shot, a winter shot. So the amount of planning that went into that video was months. And every detail, he wanted it to be such a compelling story and heartwarming story, but you could rewatch that and pick up different details.
Different times.
He storyboards, he's so meticulous. So he spent months working on it, and the details and the angles and the filming. He's on site directing, and he put so much time and heart and soul into it that by the time they film it and everything is said and done, they're able to shoot in about 3 hours. So that's how much preparation. And then every detail, the props and everything is so meticulous at what he does, but it's so seamless that you don't realize that he put his heart and soul for months. And then sometimes he'll have different ideas, and he'll walk into a home. He's like, oh, that would be a good story for that one. And it's quite impressive. I could see his eyes light up, and I say it's the magic, because he gets I said, okay, well, what are you thinking about this? And what's inspiring you? And he's like, oh, and he'll come up with something so clever and so unique. He really is one of the most gifted people for that.
I know.
Yeah.
I can imagine you working closely with him. You can see it.
I let him go. No, I'm not even close with it. Oftentimes I just get the listing, or I bring him in, and I just because I trust him so much with the creative process.
Yeah, but you can see when he's working, like his work.
Yeah.
People like us that just watch him from afar from social media, we can see that uniqueness. And it's not always about, of course, he creates a lot of funny videos which bring a lot of smile to his listing as well, which I like. But the uniqueness, the storyline of each of the like you're gonna feel like, how did he come up
Connection.
with this? How
Yes.
did he be able to connect the dots? Because you have to finish watching the video for you to get a clear picture. Like, oh my goodness, this is where he's trying to
Yep.
bring up. I think and he always do these videos of like maybe the New Year or Christmas or
With the
Thanksgiving,
yes.
and he's just gonna bring something and gonna be like, wow,
Yep.
makes sense. He make you not see real estate with a different lens.
Absolutely.
That's how I see his content. Like, it's not
He
just
brings some heart and soul into it.
exactly.
And I think too, it's the importance of the emotion, especially with some of these family homes, and really taking the best parts of the home and really finding the right fit for it. So it's something that he's very gifted that way. And sometimes he'll have an idea. He's like, no, it's just not working or it's not landing, because he's a perfectionist. And that's one thing about him that, as funny as he is and as casual, he is so very, very meticulous and perfectionist and wants the shots to be perfect. And that's why we work well together. And I have no say. I'm like, okay, just you run with it and let me see at the end. And it's just, I'm always excited. I'm like, okay, well, what are we working on next and everything. But again, we have those stories worth listings, but he still has his funny side and he still has his,
Yes.
and I have my more educational videos and everything. That's why we work, like, we kind of stay in each other's lanes. We respect each other so much professionally, and that's why it works very well.
That's amazing. Let me ask you something about luxury real estate, because I always look at it like, what's the difference? Because I've never sell a luxury home, and it's not because I don't want to. It's just not what I want to kind of focus or brand myself with. But I always respect agents like you, top agents that are doing luxury. I mean, you're still doing other part of real estate as well.
I do all of it.
But I know, but when you look at a luxury property, like it's like maybe custom made, big, it's just in a different price range,
Mhm.
and the most common detached good homes. What when you're coming up with the listing presentation or how to market it, what is the different thing that you see there? Is it just because of the price, or there is a little bit of something you have to do differently to separate that this is a luxury property? Do you look at different group of people to market it to, or what?
No, it's the exact same.
Exact same.
Exact same.
I always think there's something different in doing this thing.
Well, the big difference is I do the same amount of preparation for any price home. And it's not like I don't do anything fancy for the luxury ones or anything. It's the rapport that I have with the clients, and it's the preparation that I put in every price point. And, sometimes I just need to maybe understand some more details about the home, if it was a custom millwork or a certain brand. But other than that, it's the same process. And I think that's what made me approachable and good at it, because the same amount of effort for the the entry level homes is the same that you get for the high price ones.
Let me
Is
go
that you
to.
weren't expecting that answer?
I was
Yeah.
thinking there's something like
Yeah, there's no magic to it. It's
I
just
and
these
I respect
yeah,
that you make it simple,
it is
because
simple.
it has crossed my mind a few times. Like, should I start going towards like luxury listing? And it's not like I'm avoiding it, but I wasn't walking towards getting one because I thought it's kind of a different strategy. But it's come down to like people think something is complicated, but it's just go basic,
Yeah,
and you're gonna get your thing.
and again, it's people want to be treated well, and it's their home. And it doesn't matter what price point it is, because that's their home. And if you treat every single person that way, then you'll have success. And as I mentioned, sometimes it's the person that I helped with an entry level, they've moved up and they've gone through real estate, but they still remember how kind and attentive you were. The only difference is that sometimes people want to hear from me a little bit more. They might be a little bit more stressed, if they're being transferred for work, or it's a family time, but everybody wants to be treated well.
That-
And I think if you take that approach with every price point, then, and to me, I don't discriminate. Like, some of the higher price ones, they're not the easiest people to, and it's not because they're luxury, but I've had some people who are hard to work with in every price point. So there isn't a commonality, but all I know is if you treat people well and work hard, then that's
gonna get there.
yeah. And then, you offer, something a little bit different that, some people, I've had some clients that are very private and they don't want any social media. They don't want any broker events or anything. And then I have other ones who really want that. So you have to listen to what the client wants and adjust there.
Now that you mentioned that, if you get a luxury listing and they don't want social media,
No.
how easy will it be for you in terms of the selling? How will you do the marketing in that point now?
It's word of mouth. It's network, it's connections, it's kind of knowing who the audience is and presenting the property that way. Because a lot of people are concerned with their privacy and they're concerned with their homes. And I have some clients I'm under like non-disclosure agreements, and I deal with their like personal agent, and like I don't even deal with them. Like if you get into like the celebrities, but at the end of the day, people just want to be treated fairly, and they want you to work hard. And then the marketing the property, you have to listen to them. I know what works, but if they choose not to do that, you have to respect that. And it's all about price. So if it's not priced properly, then
Exactly.
and that's the reality. So
Let's talk about social media.
yes,
I know before we get into like recording, even though some of the things we've said was actually recorded as well, which could be used,
okay,
but I want us to kind of touch on social media. Before I even start talking about it, you mentioned a few things about your own side of the story,
yeah,
and I said stop. I want you to say it on the podcast.
it's the good stuff.
It's 1:38 now.
Okay,
February 26th. Probably by evening, you might get a lot of bullying messages, negative messages for that people want to, that one person would just want to message you randomly, probably,
yep,
to say a lot of negative things about me, about my show. And before it always affects me, like, why? Why the hate? Why do you want to say something bad? Why do you want to destroy someone else's reputation?
hmm
I heard from one of my amazing friends, Steven Sargent. He said people that are doing great, they can notice your work and they would respect you for that. But anyone that want to come towards destroying you, just know they are not building anything in their personal life.
right,
Jas Tucker was here 3-4 episodes ago. He said something. He said, hurt people are the one that hurts people.
yes,
Hurts people. Like the people that have been hurt, they're the one that hurts people.
Hmm.
In 2025, it's kind of increasing more now. Bullying, harassing, lying, trying to destroy your name on social media is so easy. And I'm serious, you might get a message by tonight
probably,
to someone say negative thing about me.
yeah, or me. It might be the reverse.
It might be, vice versa, right?
On your show.
I didn't even know that you've gone through that. I was just saying I'm going to ask you because there's a certain type of people out there that just want to go after destroying people's name, destroying my name or my brand or my business for no reason. And the funniest thing, they won't have picture, they won't have their real identity.
Yep.
And that's what I look at. Like 2 episodes ago, I have a guy on my podcast, one of the most amazing mortgage brokers. And we hosted an event together. Great event. People showed up. 2 days after, he sent me a screenshot of what someone sent to him about me. And I told him that, what do you think? It was like, I just ignore it. I just want to show you. I said, ignore it.
Ignore it.
And I want to ask you, bullying, harassment online, even some will threaten your family because it has happened to me.
It's happened to me.
They took screenshot of my wife, my kids.
Yep.
And I hope that because one of them has identified, I hope they continue because they don't know that they are being investigated now by York Region Police. And I hope they're going to continue. I hope they're going to put themselves into more problems.
Yep.
But I want to know, how do you navigate through those harassment online? And you started talking about your own personal story. If you want to share it out,
absolutely,
glad.
Yes.
How do you navigate through that? People trying to just destroy you through media, which the easiest media now is because every human being has a phone now. So social media make it more easy. Yep. In those days, it's the newspaper, it's the radio, the TV.
The phone and
going to call.
Yeah,
but no, this time, within 5 minutes, I can open an 10 accounts on Instagram and start doing anything. How do you navigate through those?
It's not easy. It's not. So my challenge has always been this because it changed so much, like real estate's changed so much since I started. And the challenge is, our job as realtors is to market our properties, and we market ourselves. And when I started, the majority of agents would market themselves. They'd have like bus benches, or they'd have, the names or the flyers and everything. And people would make fun of them behind their back or look at that, like it's not working, but people were talking.
Or they're going to draw something on their face. They did that
Exactly.
actually to one of my friends.
And that's one of the biggest changes in the industry that I find one of the most challenging is, in a very short period of time, it used to be, kind of old school bullying to Oh, like they're leaving comments on my profile and they're emailing
They
me.
do that to you?
And oh yeah.
Oh my goodness! Last year, you want to see a lot of, but
And
I'm
it's
happy. I'm happy they did this comment because it was able to gather it to be able to give it to the law enforcement.
well, the thing
Now
about
I
it
don't worry
is,
about it too much.
yeah,
Now,
I
anyways.
try not to let it worry because you have to put yourself out there. And I know, you know, people aren't gonna like me just for the sake of me, like whatever. Like, and I had to get over because I used to,
Successful.
yeah, like,
People doesn't like it sometimes.
or they don't like success, or maybe they met me at a certain point in my life, or they had a bad experience, whatever. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I respect that. What I found interesting with real estate and social media is, we all have a camera on our phone now. We're all trying to get our name and get exposure, but there's that fine line. And what happened to me a few years ago is, I'm a busy agent and I hire people to help me with, and I always find it flattering that people think I edit my own stuff or film. Like I don't, like I'm not good at that stuff. So I always hired people. And one thing I'm very proud of real estate wise is that I like supporting communities and I like supporting small local businesses. And I would do a video of my new listing, and I would do, features on different neighborhoods. So that summer in particular, I did some batch videos and we're filming for about 8 hours. And I wanted to do, like, this was, things were still opening up after COVID, businesses were suffering. And I really believe we need to be community minded and really like supporting that. And I wanted to do different neighborhoods and feature different things. So I did, top 3 neighborhoods to buy if you're single, top 3 neighborhoods to buy if you're starting a family, top 3 neighborhoods that I like for investment. And we did all kinds of long video that day. And then we went to Yorkville and we filmed some of my listings there, and they got me on some B-roll. I was having fun. And my batch of videos went off, and my editor cut them all and made different videos. And I had a social media team that post everything. And I had 2 videos that week that went viral on TikTok earlier in the week
Okay.
that for positive reasons. And I was away that weekend, and one of my neighborhood videos got posted and tagged to a Drake song.
Oh, okay.
And I relied on my team to interact as me because I was away. And I came back, and a friend of mine texted me from Europe and he said, "Do yourself a favor and don't read the comments." I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean?" Yeah,
That's you're gonna have to want to read
yeah.
it.
And he thought I knew about this article because of that whole weekend I'd gone viral. So it got picked up on TikTok. It was, I think I had 500,000 views, and people were commenting. I'll tell you what the video was after. Then they started talking about me on Twitter, now X. Then it got picked up by BlogTO, and it was, news to me. I had no idea. My team didn't let me know. I had no idea. So I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Oh, like they're awfully opinionated on that neighborhood," because I didn't know why it went viral. And I
Wow.
didn't understand, but I was busy. I was working on one of my biggest deals ever. I was working on my clients, and I had no idea because it was noise and it was all this stuff blowing up. And then I started getting text messages from people threatening to kill me, threatening to rape me, hoping that, yeah, it was intense. And
Kill and that's
yeah,
where it get because I got that too.
yeah.
The kill, and it's not even only because of my own business. And I will let you finish that story. It's just for a different reason that they just want to come up with lies and everything.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to killing, threatening,
Yeah, I had messages. They wanted to follow me to my next open house and do horrible things
they
to
said
me.
that same thing too.
Yeah.
I know where your next
Yeah.
open house is. Just to let you know, they said that to me.
Yeah, and it was scary. And so I have all this happening. And what was interesting, I still, to this day, I don't really understand why that video was so polarizing. And they were talking about me on News Talk Radio, and my client heard. He said, they're talking about you on the radio. And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll call in." And I said, "I heard you're talking about the King West realtor." And they said, "Do you know her?" I said, "Yeah, it's me. It's
Wow.
me."
So what did you say?
So they were asking. So the whole video was, I was talking about top 3 neighborhoods to buy if you're looking for kind of nightlife, and I focused on King West. And my producer at the time had just bought a condo in King West, and sometimes when we do videos, we're doing 5 or 6 takes of them.
Okay.
And I said something like, "Well, obviously, King West is my top choice." So they edited me talking about King West, and it was when auto text was coming up when I speak, and I said, Laval, and they put Laval like in Quebec, and then they had me talk about how great King West was. And then they had me with B-roll in Yorkville. So it looked like I didn't know what I was talking about. And the B-roll was having fun. So it was like kind of a light side of me. So I looked ditzy that I didn't know what I was talking about. And people were like, she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Laval, Laval's a place in Quebec. Looks like she had too much work done. Look at her. And they just kept going on and on. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't even live there, and just went on. So then I didn't know, like, I hadn't even watched the video yet, but I was reading some of the comments, of course. And I said, they're very opinionated about King West. And I said, I want to focus on certain things that some of my clients have liked. And I said, at the end of the day, and I said this on the radio show, I said, it's my opinion. If I said Jack Astor's was my favorite restaurant and I like going to, I said, I'm entitled to that.
To that, yeah.
And if I like that neighborhood, I said, I didn't say anything mean, untowards. I said, I'm doing the best I can. I said, I'm trying to highlight different neighborhoods. And I said, I love the passion that people have about their neighborhoods. And I said, if you want me to do a video on your neighborhood,
Let me
let
know.
me know. And I'm happy to support them. And I said, I'm not a documentarian. I said, I'm not a historian. I said, I didn't say anything inaccurate. I said, it's my opinion. And if I think King West and Laval are the best places to go, I'm entitled.
Wow.
And people were saying she must be sponsored. What does she know? Dumb realtor, you name it. And then it kept going. And then I got picked up by the Toronto Star on cyberbullying and basically the perils of social media. And I said, I said, I'm lucky I have a strong personality, and I'm lucky that I am quite resilient. But, for a
This
few,
is strong. This is something that could affect you because, Anna, how did you not let that affect you? Does it bother you at all at that time? Were you
it did.
scared of the death threat?
It was scary at the time because we put ourselves in vulnerable positions. We're advertising what empty home we're sitting in for 2 hours. We're meeting strangers.
Yeah.
We're going to empty homes, and not everybody, we have to take. Not everybody realizes the risks that are involved, and every new phone call, new stranger is also somebody who can be a good client.
You right? I
Or
was
just
I
more
was
pressure.
worried at that time when I go for open houses because it was in the message and email that the person sent to me, like, I know you
Yeah.
this address that you did the open. I wanted to come there. People just said I shouldn't, and in my head, I'm like, really, you're gonna come to my open house?
I welcome them. Please
And
do. Please do come.
I
Yeah.
was worried, even because maybe because you've been in this country, probably you kind of understand the country a little bit, but I'm an immigrant. I moved
Yes.
to this country. Yes, I'm a citizen now, but I moved to this country permanently about 5 years ago.
Yep.
And someone threatening you on social media, going on your videos, writing a lot of lies, saying I want to kill someone and they want to kill me, they want to kill my kids. In fact, the person went as far as knowing where my mother lives in
Oh
Nigeria,
my God.
like describing how my mother looks.
Yeah, that's like that was next. Like mine was more surface than that.
So
Yeah.
I that's why I have to take all the case to the police, which I hope the person will not listen so that I can't stop. They're gonna be nabbed. So I just look at that and I'm like, I wonder how other people feel. I want to hear from them. I mean, now the most amazing thing about all this thing, and I'm gonna be honest with you, since that time that person or maybe group of people started that, I've done well on my business than before.
Yes.
And I didn't let it stop from posting on social media. And they stopped at one point. I'm like, I mean, obviously 3 weeks ago, I still
Really?
my guests still get the message. And when I look at that, I'm like, they're sad that they try to bring me down, but I keep just going up. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue
Yep.
to get better, to do better. You understand?
And I wish them well. Like you said, like hurt people hurt.
Yes.
And and again, like if I hurt one of these people before, if I said something you know, like please forgive me.
I'm not gonna ask for their
Yeah.
forgiveness. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I forgive them for doing that. And I used to take it personally and stuff. And when you've been around for a while and you put yourself out there, you just become a victim. But it makes me very, very aware
Or what could happen?
what could happen, and also what I'm showing the world. Like a lot of people I don't I don't post kind of where I'm at that time. It's usually after.
That's what I started doing too.
Yeah.
I'm going to record a video today.
Yeah.
It's not where I am
It's
at
not,
that.
yeah, and I'm very private about my personal life. I never post really things about my family or anything about my personal life. And the other thing too that made me very, very aware is in terms of what we put out in terms of a digital footprint is I have to make sure that it aligns with who I am. So you never see me kind of having fun on videos and, like the B-roll, and I'm very, very aware of that. And then there's sometimes like I'll take a break from social media because I don't want the noise and I just want the peace. And then so you'll see like there's different points in my life where I'm like, okay, like I'm ready to
Go again.
yeah, like I'm ready to okay, bring it. Let's see what you have to say and everything.
Did
But
you
there's some
put that?
yeah, there's some pretty mean people out there,
They
but
are.
yeah.
They
And
are.
but I always welcome them. If they have the courage to say that and leave it online, please call me and I welcome that opportunity to have that conversation face to face. Like and that usually gets them to be a little bit more quiet because I find it's very rare for people to have that confidence to say those
They
things.
won't say that thing in
Yeah.
front of you.
Yeah.
Did you report the incidents or what happened to the police, or you didn't do anything?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Because you never know. I mean, unfortunately for me, even though I reported, I didn't get enough support at that time. I
Yeah.
mean, they're still going on it now, but at that time, I wish they could do more.
Yeah. And they, unfortunately, some of these people who make those threats, they know the laws and they know there's a certain amount of times they have to threaten and all this stuff. But what I found interesting out of all of it, when this was all happening in TikTok and Instagram, so it was almost like it wasn't really happening in the real world. It was almost like these negative comments about me and everything
It was just a
were,
crime.
yeah, were like it was in the gutter. And nobody in the real world or my friends or, my clients really knew about it
Or even care.
or even care. And but the thing that bothered me was because I've worked so hard, it was to be called kind of airheady, ditzy. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Does it affect your business at all? Any of your business? Do you lose any business because of that?
Oh, it was almost a blessing in disguise because I've had opportunities to talk about and educate in the perils of it. And, I was featured in national media and I've been on many podcasts and, I speak on the dangers of cyberbullying and I'm, yeah, so
So
but
these people don't even know sometimes they open opportunity
they do.
for you because the guest that they messaged, who is also my part, like we partner on an event, we're gonna do a lot of collaboration. That guy, when he sent it to me, was like, I didn't even think of it. I just want you to see it because someone that can write this kind of thing without showing their face, I know right away it's just a lie. If you are true that this person did whatever you want to bring up, put your name. Like if you do something bad to me and I think social media is my court, the legal place to put it, I'm going to put my name there to let you know it's me, right?
Absolutely. And there's
So-
always that risk in this industry. Just like now we have this culture, you can review everything. And there are certain people, but then we can't put limitations on ourselves in terms of, you have to constantly grow. And you see some of these mega influencers who get millions of hatred. You just need to distance yourself. And I don't really pay much attention.
To
Like
read
it
them
just,
all.
yeah, read them. Like I'm busy, I'm doing other things. And if that's really how you feel, I wish you all the best.
What are you looking for in brokerages before you kind of say it's time to move? What are the things you're looking for before you choose a brokerage?
Well, it's an excellent question. The brokerage I was with always reflected a certain time in my life. So there's some brokerages that I was at because they were better for training. And I liked the team that I was going to be working with or the mentorship.
Okay.
So that impacted quite a bit. Then at certain points, I wanted more of the camaraderie and I wanted more of a smaller, maybe younger office.
Okay.
Because I always felt that the benefit was if I was happy, then the business. So the brand didn't really matter for me.
Okay.
But it did at a certain point. So I worked at PSR in King West
Okay.
and loved it. I loved the people there. I loved what they were doing. I loved that office. But unfortunately, at the time, they weren't strong as a brand in resale. They were very King West focus and condo focus. And a lot of my business, I'm all over. I'm a generalist. And they didn't have the brand recognition. So I went to Sotheby's.
Okay.
So I was with Sotheby's for 10 years, and that really helped me because the strength of the brand, the strength of the agents there, and I'm not from Toronto, so I needed that strength of brand when I was getting those listing appointments. And now with social media and with all like my own personal stuff, the brand isn't as important to me.
That's
I
what I
don't
want to
need it.
ask. Like
Yeah,
at the
it's not.
point, does that the brand is not the important thing anymore? It's now
It's
the
not.
the people around you, or how you feel about being in certain brokerage.
Well, I love it because the reality is, so Sotheby's was great, and I love it. I learned from the best and the exposure. But again, with my own personal brand, 99% of my clients don't even know what brokerage I'm with.
And
And
that's true.
and
That's
the
true.
big for me, the big decision was, how much do I need the brand at this point of my career? And why, if I don't need them, why am I paying so
So much
much
money.
and not getting anything? So that was the big decision. It was a business decision. So at more traditional brokerages, it just didn't resonate with my business model at the time. Why am I giving 15% of and not capping or anything when I can do the same amount of work?
Work somewhere
It's all
else.
my brand
Yeah.
and nothing changes. And that's the difference of me retiring early or having a quality of life that I may not have had because maybe I don't have to sell 2 more houses to net the same amount.
That's actually true. And as I told you at the beginning of our conversation, the reason why and I'm not trying to promote this brokerage, the reason is what they provide for me
Yes.
makes sense with my a
For
lot of
your life,
a
yeah.
lot of my life now. So let me ask you one probably general question, not really real estate, but a little bit of real estate. If you're not selling real estate, if that was not what you chose in your life, what do you think you would have? Which career do you think you would have pursued, and do you think you will be successful in that part as well, and why? If I ask this same question to
Yes.
myself, I would have been a chef because I love cooking
Oh, do you?
so much.
Really?
Up till now, I wake up 3 a.m., 2 a.m.
Your wife is lucky.
She's one of the luckiest, and I'm one of the luckiest man as well to have her. But I love cooking. So when people ask me, if you don't sell real estate, I used to work in IT before they sell me. If you don't work in IT, what do you think you would have done? I always say I would have become a chef. I just
Really?
love cooking. What do you think you would have done if it's not real estate?
When I was little, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I wanted to fly jets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you still
Yeah.
feel like that now?
No, because I have a horrible sense of direction and I have horrible motion sickness. So that dream was crushed. I think I would have gone into law. I like legal lawyer. Like I probably would have been a sports lawyer, sports agent.
Wow.
Or the other thing is, like, I love spies. I probably would have been like a spy or like maybe work for the CIA
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, I love all of that. So I think
Do you think you would still love to do that?
I think so. Yeah, I love
Wow.
like anything investigative or anything
I
like that.
kind of,
Yeah.
apart from being a chef, of course, I always joke with my wife. I said, if you see me going back to school one day, that I just said I want to do, I want to
Yes.
go get my law degree. I kind of like law somehow now.
Yeah.
But if it's not law, if I really want to choose something that I feel like I love,
Yes.
I think I will become a chef. But now you mentioning law, I don't know, maybe you want to.
Well, you could do both. But right now, I'd love to get I would love to get paid to play golf, even though I'm a horrible
I
golfer.
saw some
Yes.
of your
Yeah.
content.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you mentioned CIA. What do you think? I think you might be a good spy.
Depends
I
who you
think you
yes.
might be. You might be a good spy.
I love anything spy related, everything. I'm so intrigued. I love all those movies too. So yeah, maybe a spy. or
That's
something.
amazing.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be the last question. First of all, I appreciate you being here
Oh,
today.
thank you. It's been great.
It's like you're the person I said I look from afar, learn from. I've met you once. We've never met in this kind of scenario, having conversation. And the first time I reach out to you, like, hey, I want to have you on my podcast. You are very positive.
Yes.
You are open. Like I know that collaboration mindset is in you.
Yes.
You do a open house. You actually invite agent to come in,
Yeah.
right? You know, understand. But I want to know what if you have to leave, one or two tips for obviously new agents or any real estate agent, business owner in general. What will you leave them with to learn from either they're starting today or they've even been in the business? What will be the advice for them?
It's about meeting people. It's about meeting people. And it's a matter of finding the way to meet people in an authentic way that is significant for you. So if you like face to face, then go out and meet people. Or, if you're more of like a networker type thing. So it's a matter of like, do the thing that you love in terms of, especially if you're in real estate, it's about meeting people and like forming these collaborations and having these conversations and giving back to that, like the relationship. And then you have to put the time in. People look at, oh, Anna Oliver is doing great or she's a top agent. Well, I still put a lot of work. Like
You still do.
I still do. And I love it. And like last night I was showing first time buyers condos downtown and I love it. They were such good people. I was so excited. But my plan was to get there early and go, because I hadn't shown in that building in a while. I wanted to get there early
To know
to know and like remember, okay, where's the gym here again, and like take that extra time. I had all the information, so I still have that passion in it. But you have to put in the time, and I find a lot of agents don't invest in themselves. They don't give themselves a chance because they don't put even a minimum of an hour or two just to know what's out there.
out there.
Yeah. And that would be my two things. Get to know as many people as possible and keep in touch with them, and know what you're doing, and spend, a minimum a few hours a day learning your craft and perfecting it too, and staying on top of it. So
Invest in yourself.
invest in
And
yourself.
also invest time in the people you're working with, collaboration and everything. If there's anything I would take away from our conversation today is the power of collaboration, not giving up, and not allowing noise to affect your goal. You understand? If one day, maybe our next podcast will be when you become CIA agent, or
Well, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. Yes.
which one is the part of Canada? I know CIA is for the US. Do we have the name?
Yeah, we have
maybe?
Azeez here.
Okay.
Yeah.
When maybe you're retiring, you can talk about it at that time. I'm going to have you on the podcast. But to be honest, I really appreciate our conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's been delightful.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort in coming, being very positive when I ask about it. And I hope now when I message Matt, you'll be able to say, hey, you have to go on Azeez podcast. So, because I'm actually going to message him. He's an amazing person. I want to.
He's an amazing individual. If you can get him to come, then you're a very lucky person.
I will try.
Yeah.
I will give it a shot.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.